Hello everyone, my name is Sadiqa Gums and I'm a registered nurse. I'm taking this communications class as part of one of my prereqs to complete my RN to BSN. I've been a nurse now for about 3.5 years and I absolutely love it. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I got into the nursing field. You know, when I was young, I always wanted to be a pediatrician, and as I got older, I kind of looked into that a little bit, but I noticed that it required a lot of education, so I had to rethink my career path. But I started out working when I was a teenager. I worked in after-school programs, and I also worked in summer camp with children. Then, you know, as I got into my early 20s, I started doing some customer service. I absolutely hated customer service, but I did that for a few years. When in my mid 20s, I found a position at a company that serviced adults with intellectual disabilities, and I absolutely loved it. My position required me to pick up the client from home because their parents were usually still caring for them, and take them out into the community to do different activities, and at the same time giving the family a little bit of downtime or time to run errands. So I did that for about 3, maybe 4 years, and then I moved from New York, where I'm originally from, down here to Virginia, and I started working at a group home. Again, they care for adults with intellectual disabilities, and I did that for about 5 years. In my time from moving from New York to Virginia, it was difficult because of all of my family was still back in New York, but it was something that I thought would be best for me. So I would go back home and visit every now and again, maybe once or twice every year. And one time I got a phone call. One day I got a phone call from my cousin, and she said that my grandma was sick and that they were going to put her into a nursing home because she could no longer care for herself, and she didn't want a caregiver in her house. So, you know, I was devastated by that, but, you know, being all the way here, there was really nothing that I could do about it. So, you know, anytime I made a visit down to Virginia, I made sure I went to visit my grandmother first. You know, that was always my first stop, and it was always fun times. The most difficult time was leaving her because she would always cry and tell me that the staff mistreated her. So, you know, me being who I am, I would always go and, you know, talk to the staff and kind of try to get a feel of what was going on. And of course, they always denied any wrongdoings. But I did notice in trying to talk to them and just have a conversation, a lot of the nurses had horrible attitudes. And from that point, I decided, you know, maybe if I get into a career of nursing, I can make better experiences for people that needed help, because they don't choose to be in that position. A lot of times this is something, you know, health wise, and they would rather not need someone to help. So why, you know, I could be the person to make the experience a great one. So needless to say, after that, I came back home and I looked into the education, and I, you know, started taking the prereqs to get my RN license. Once I was done with all my prereqs, I applied to the nursing program and I was immediately accepted. And I've been doing that ever since. And, you know, in my first year of nursing, you know, I would call my grandmother and tell her about everything that I was going through. My actual clinical was the first one, it was in long-term care. So I did, you know, deal a lot with the elderly, and I absolutely loved it, you know. And another thing that was difficult during that time of transitioning into my actual role, my grandmother passed, and so dealing with the elderly became a little bit more difficult. But I made it through, and here I am today, you know. And so I hope that, you know, as I continue on with my education and provide service and care to those that need it, that I continue to make a difference in anybody's life that I come across. And that's how I got started in nursing. Thank you all for watching, and hope you enjoyed my presentation.